Hi everyone, Michelle Zenisek here. Another day, another Am I the A-hole Reddit question. Okay. This one, I don't know, seems to be a no-brainer, but not everybody, I guess, understands this kind of boundary. So let's get into it. Am I the a-hole for telling my son I don't like the name he has chosen for his child? So, my son and his wife, both 27, had their first child 3 days ago. During the pregnancy, they wanted to keep the gender a surprise until birth and were doing old wives' tales and settled on a boy since that's what the tales were saying. Since they were so convinced, they settled on one name in particular, Henry. I want to emphasize I have no issue with that name. I think it's a nice name, and I did try telling them not to get their hopes up because the baby might not be a boy. Well, the baby was born and it turned out to be a girl. They were disappointed but happy. They hadn't decided on a name up until yesterday. They decided, or they announced the name was Henrietta. Yes, that's the spelling. So the spelling is she's did lowercase h, which I don't know if that's purposeful. Enriettah. They asked me as her grandmother what I thought of the name, and I told them I wasn't a fan of the name. They seemed pretty angry, but I reassured them it's not my child and not my choice to make, but they did ask for my opinion, and I gave it, and I wasn't going to convince them to change it. But if that's the name, then that's the name, and I will accept that. Still, they're pretty angry and said I could have lied to them. Okay, I have to say I didn't read all of that before before I came on, and so now I kind of have a different opinion. I first was going into it like it's none of your business. You shouldn't have said anything, blah, blah, blah. But now that I read that, it's like, well, they asked you, and now they're upset because you gave them the answer they didn't like. I mean, when you ask someone's opinion, you have to be prepared that you may not hear you may hear something you don't like. I mean, you ask me a question, I'm not going to lie to you just to save your feelings. I mean, if I, I mean, I guess in some circumstances that might be okay, but as a Christian, I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm thinking, yeah, you asked my opinion, but she answered appropriately that she wasn't going to encourage them to change it. She will accept it and love the child just the same, just because she doesn't like the name. I mean, she handled that appropriately, in my opinion. I obviously, like I said, when I first read that, I didn't read the whole thing, and now my opinion has changed. I think she handled it well. I don't think that she is the a-hole, but like I've said previously, I wouldn't call anyone an a-hole. Maybe a murderer. I might call a murderer an a-hole, but otherwise, I mean, these people on Reddit, most of them, I wouldn't call them an a-hole. I mean, they're, but she was asked a question. She was asked for her opinion, and she gave it. And I mean, what? And I would just continue to explain that to them. That look, you asked for my opinion. I still love you. I still love the child. This is my granddaughter. I will love her dearly no matter what you name her. But no, I'm not a fan of the name, and I will get used to it, And I'm assuming Henrietta, I'm assuming they're going to give her a nickname. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of the name either. I mean but that's their decision to name the child, what they want to name her. Why they didn't have a girl's name picked out just in case, I don't understand. Because like, even when I had my kids, I knew, my son, I knew he was going to be a boy, but I was actually thinking about girls' names just in case the ultrasound was wrong. I don't remember doing that with my daughter. I must have been pretty convinced that the ultrasound was correct. I don't know, maybe I did. That was almost 20 years ago when I had her. So, but anyway, the point is that we have to be careful when we ask for people's opinion. If we're not prepared to hear that someone doesn't agree with our opinion, then we have to be ready for that. So I that happened to me many years ago when my kids were little, and I had another single mom friend, and her and I are no longer friends. We really shouldn't have been friends back then. I think deep down people are good. They try to be. Um, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm perfect. I'm not. But I had a friend who she she basically she was a wealthy woman, okay? And but the way she came about her money was not honest. She had a good job. She had a very good paying job. Um but she would get into like fender benders and sue and get money for that. And so that's how she made a lot of money. I mean, this woman every year, she had one son, and every year they went to Disney World. So I mean, and I don't begrudge her that, okay? I just it was that the way you come about the money. Well, so there was this one so this happened several times. And I had been rear-ended by a school bus at one point, and it's not as bad as it sounds. We were stopped, and then or we were slowing down, and the I don't remember exactly, but basically the bus hit my bumper. There were no kids on the bus. I didn't, it's not like it was like this huge damage. I had like this little scratch on my bumper. It was not a big deal. I didn't even use the money they gave me to fix it. I didn't even use it for that. I just kept it as like this car is old and it's just a little scratch. It's not a big deal. And so this friend of mine at the time, she was trying to tell me, she's like, "Oh, you should go to the hospital, claim you have whiplash. You can get a lot of money from that." I paid off a condo doing that one time. I mean, and I was a Christian even at that time, and so was she. We went to the same church, and I couldn't believe what I'm hearing. And I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. But I did take the car to a body shop to see how much it would cost to fix that scratch, and I think it was like the estimate was like $300. The insurance company offered me 1,000. I said, I'll take it. I'll take the 1,000 and be done with it. Like I said, I didn't even use that money to get it fixed. The next day after the accident, I was sore. I was sore, but I wasn't injured. And so anyway, fast forward a couple years, I don't know how she manages to get in so many fender benders. I really don't. But she had been at this karate school near where we lived. We met because our kids went to the same daycare, and her son and my son were the same age, and they were friends. Okay. And she was at this karate school. My kids used to go to that karate school too. And she was just parked. She was sitting in her car while her son was inside doing his karate class. And she got hit by some teenage driver. And it was a small parking lot. This was no major accident. Thankfully she was not hurt. The other driver was not hurt. Her son was not in the car with her. And so it was a 17-year-old kid, and they exchanged information, and this happened like on a Thursday. On Sunday, she's like panicking. She's like, "I think I need to call my lawyer and have my lawyer call them because I have not heard from them, blah, blah, blah." And, because this kid was supposed to go home and tell his parents, and give the information. And so she was waiting to hear from them. And I get, okay, you don't want to wait forever, but she asked for my opinion on what she should do. And I said, I think you should call the parents. Don't call a lawyer, call the parents. I said, because one day you're going to have a 17-year-old kid who might be in the same situation, and maybe, and you're going to wish that that other party would call you instead of calling a lawyer. first, right? And then, um, and on top of that, this kid, he's probably afraid to tell his parents. He's 17 years old. Maybe he's afraid to tell his parents. Maybe he hasn't told them yet. I'm not excusing that, but have a little, it's okay to sympathize with that because, again, like I said, one day you're going to have a 17-year-old son who could be end up in the same situation. And so, anyway, all of that to say that she didn't like my opinion, and so later she's like, I called my lawyer. I'm glad I called my lawyer, and she got really nasty with me. And I'm like, you asked for my opinion. You didn't want my opinion. You shouldn't ask for my opinion. That was my opinion. So, anyway, I hope people are enjoying this, and I do enjoy these Reddit questions. I have to say, like when I do this, I just pick the first question that's there when I go to the website. Like put in the URL, there's the first question, and I take it. So I don't really like research what's the best question, you know. So anyway, I hope everyone's having a great day and a great weekend, and hopefully we'll talk again tomorrow. Talk to you soon.